Hey everyone, it's been an amazing journey through 2022. Our world went through many ups and downs and faced various events, and now we are at end of this year. Let's take a look at some of the most interesting and important events that took place from the beginning. On January 14th. This year started with a disaster news, a volcano erupting at Hunga Tonga. The Hunga Tonga Hunga Ha'apai volcano in Tonga erupted, blasting ash into the atmosphere and causing tsunamis across the Pacific. The eruption lasted for 12 hours, and sent waves as far away as Peru and the United States. And this eruption disturbed telecommunication across the country. The full extent of damage in Tonga is yet unknown. There are confirmed casualties in Tonga and in Peru. On the same month, January 26th, following a week of hostile interactions, U.S. President Joe Biden warned that Russia may invade Ukraine within the next month. The key issue between the two former Cold War belligerents is the possibility of Ukraine joining NATO. Finally, some worthy words from Biden. That makes sense. The world had been on high alert since the warnings from the U.S. stating about the Russian invasion of Ukraine. On February 24th, Russian troops have begun an attack on Ukraine, with reports of troops crossing the border to the north and south, with multiple explosions in the cities of Ukraine, including Kyiv. And Russia's President Vladimir Putin warned of bloodshed if Ukrainian forces do not lay down their arms. And, by this war, we all have seen the crash of stock markets worldwide, and went through the pain of losing our money on stocks. On March 24th, Russia's aggressive military actions on Ukraine resulted in 65 Russian individuals and businesses receive sanctions from the UK, because they are fueling Putin's war machine, according to the State Secretary of Foreign Affairs, Liz Truss. The latest sanctions announced by the State Secretary include Alfa Bank, Russia's biggest private bank, and the Wagner Group, Russian mercenaries who are believed to have been assigned the task of assassinating the Ukrainian president, Volodymyr Zelensky. Putin and his side doesn't even consider sanctions. Sigma Putin. Threatening elephant with sign language. Yes, it's about US and European Union sanctions on Russia. On April 11th, the European Union is discussing further sanction packages to be levied against Russia, and the country and its military continue its invasion of Ukraine. European Union should know sanctions can't save Ukraine. Real-life Tony Stark, Elon Musk played with Twitter by proposing his idea of buying Twitter. Twitter went into defensive mode and did this. On Sunday, April 17, a day after Elon Musk made his offer of $43 billion to buy Twitter, the company's board armed itself against a possible hostile takeover by adopting a move commonly known as a poison pill, which simply is a limited-duration shareholder rights plan. Crisis has been everyone's daily breakfast of the first quarter this year, and it continued through Sri Lankan national crisis. Sri Lankan President Mahinda Rajapaksa has said that he has tendered his resignation to President Gotabaya Rajapaksa due to a massive crisis in Sri Lanka. Effective immediately, I have tendered my resignation as Prime Minister to the President, he announced in a tweet at 5:02 p.m. on May 9th. The President has to accept the resignation for it to take effect. There would be no crisis in this country if it happened earlier. On Monday, May 16th, Elizabeth Borne, the French Minister for Labour, has been appointed as Prime Minister, the first woman to hold the post in more than 30 years, and only the second female Prime Minister in modern French history. And we all know about the issue between Johnny and Amber through the internet. On June 2nd, jurors awarded compensation of $15 million for Mr. Depp, who denied abusing Ms. Heard, and for punitive damages. And Ms. Heard won one of 3 counterclaims against Mr. Depp and was awarded $2 million in compensatory damages. Mr. Depp won claims and our hearts. On June 6th, the Indian government has become embroiled in a diplomatic row with Gulf states, after 2 ruling party spokespeople were accused of making Islamophobic and derogatory comments insulting the Prophet Muhammad. On June 22nd, UK inflation reaches its sky high since March 1982, when it also stood at 9.1%, and the Bank of England has warned it will reach 11% this year. Situations are not changed here, but politicians do. On July 7th, UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson said, "It is painful not to be able to see through so many projects and ideas," as he announced his resignation as Tory party leader. On July 9th, Japan was in shock and world lost its great leader Shinzo Abe. During the election campaign, Japan's Prime Minister was assassinated. On July 14th, Sri Lanka's PM ordered the military to do whatever it takes to maintain order in Pearl of the Indian Ocean. State of emergency declared as protesters reject Premier Ranil Wickremesinghe acting as president. and demand he and Gotabaya Rajapaksa resign. A wrong politician can easily destroy a country. This is the proof. In August, monsoon rains have caused devastating floods in Pakistan, leaving millions homeless, destroying buildings, bridges and roads and leaving vast swathes of the country under. Flash floods and landslides along the Indus and Kabul rivers have left more than 1,000 dead and 1,600 injured, with the southern districts of Baluchistan and Sindh worst affected. It's all been disasters around the world. Our condolences to those who lost their lives. On August 30th, China shuts its world's largest electronics market at Shenzhen and imposes more lockdowns. China on its best way to tackle COVID. On September 6th, after meeting with Queen and being given permission to form a government, Liz Truss becomes the new Prime Minister of the United Kingdom following the resignation of Boris Johnson. A new problem had been assigned. New Prime Minister. Liz Truss is the 56th Prime Minister and third female leader of the UK. On September 7, 2022, tech giant Apple launched a new line of phones and a series of watches at a press event held at its headquarters in California. At the event, Apple unveiled 4 new smartphones, the new iPhone 14s, 3 new smartwatches, and AirPod Pro 2. Rest in peace to those who lost their kidneys. After going through all these impossible things happening this year, another incident happened. Queen Elizabeth, who seemed as immortal to internet netizens, passed away. Queen Elizabeth died September 8 at Balmoral Castle, the royal residence in the Scottish Highlands where she spent her summer vacations. At 12:32 p.m. that day, the palace released a highly unusual statement saying that doctors were concerned for her health. On October 20th, after 45 days as Prime Minister, Liz Truss resigned as Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. "I'm a fighter, not a quitter," some famous words said when she was appointed as Prime Minister in September month. On October 25th, after meeting King Charles at Buckingham on Tuesday, Rishi Sunak was elected as Britain's new Prime Minister and the third in 2 months. Indians are everywhere now. By this time of year, the world went through almost all known disasters. And another one happened yet again. World human population reached the milestone of 8 billion numbers. And in November, after 49 years of his death, finally 2022, researchers solved Bruce Lee's mysterious death. The cause of death was cerebral edema due to hyponatremia. And on Saturday, November 26, 2022, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Belarus said that Vladimir Makiai, the foreign minister, had died at the age of 64. On December 7, the Vice President of Argentina, Cristina Fernández de Kirchner, has been sentenced to 6 years in prison by a court and has also been disqualified from holding public office again after being found guilty of corruption during her time as the president. On December 18, Argentina star Lionel Messi finally crowned his record-breaking career by winning the FIFA World Cup for the first time in his farewell to the tournament. The summit clash went to the wire with Argentina emerging victorious 4-2 in a penalty shootout against France on Sunday in Qatar. This year many unusual incidents and events happened. Let's hope for the best in the upcoming year. But in reality, nothing will change except year 2022. If you love our content, like, share and subscribe to us for more videos. Thanks for watching.